In recent weeks, companies such as Meta or Microsoft announced they would be accelerating their layoffs and as well as freezing hiring in some rather key departments. So in this, I wanted to share with you a number of insights as to what I found works best to seize these opportunities, even though they are relatively scarce these days. And the first thing I'd like to talk about here would be that we are optimists by nature, especially when it comes to the time it takes to achieve certain goals. So for example, if you think you'll be able to land a role within 3 months, a better approach would be to multiply what you think it would take with a factor of 3 or even 5. So 3 months could take you as long as 2 years to have your desired outcome. So this would be on the planning side of things. And by the way, these delays don't have to be because you are not proficient enough, you're not good enough for the role, but rather, delays are the name of the game these days. So it's delay in scheduling interview rounds, delay in giving you outcomes of your interviews, delays in advancing you. So delay is something that you should pay attention to, especially nowadays, right? The second thing I'd like to talk about here is if you are in a scenario of a crisis. So in crisis thinking, and for job interviews in particular, if you really need to get a job, a good paying job, use this approach of focusing on doing one thing and one thing well. Okay, so if you are a subject matter expert in, accounting, ensure that you are really good at what you're doing as an accountant, right? Versus improving some extracurricular activities or versus focusing more on the behavioral interviewing skills when you know you could definitely improve on the accounting side of things. So basically the name of the game when you want to pass through a crisis, when you want to be successful with these things, is to do one thing and one thing well. Keep the main thing. Because I've had plenty of examples of people who were pretty good, well-qualified scientists, for instance, or AI scientists, who focus more on the behavioral interviewing side, whereas their interview was highly technical. It was obvious from the start in their interviews that they had no chance because they were not proficient enough, technically speaking. So if they had spent more time focusing on the technical side of things, the outcome would have been a better one. Right? Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't prepare on the behavior interviewing skills, but that's in a context where you want to negotiate an even better offer, or where you really put together a great show if you're already highly qualified for the role that you're applying for. Right? The third thing I'd like to talk about here is that usually in tough times or in crisis, many people will turn. The expression friends who turn. And this is the same in any exchange, even professional exchanges, or even more in professional exchanges. So my recommendation would be to really focus on being respectful at any point in time during the hiring process, the interviewing process, even while you're communicating with a scheduler for your upcoming job interview. Because this is people react differently to crisis, and you would be surprised how easy it is for me to weed out bad candidates simply because they lack respect. And respect, I don't necessarily mean in the traditional sense of word, but could also simply mean simple things such as respectful of my time. Right, so it's not the best candidates who tend to be the least respectful of my time. So these types of things could well make or break your performance in a job interview process, right? And the fourth thing I'd like to talk about here is health. But health is of course always a thing, but a healthy candidate is not a stressed out candidate. So even though stress is high, you should ensure that you will perform reasonably well in a context of a crisis. So basically what I'm saying, the idea that I'm trying to communicate here is that I've seen a number of candidates who've done exceptionally well in job interviews without stressing out too much without overthinking them. And, so basically you should be aware that it's perfectly possible to pass interviews even with high-performing companies and to still not strive for perfection. So for instance, I had someone who said, hey, yes, I know what to expect. I'm going to have this approach of role-playing 3 times with you, and we'll see what gives, right? That guy wasn't really saying, hey, I'm going to role-play every single day for as long as is required to significantly improve my skills for the upcoming job interview, but rather, have an approach where they prioritize their mental well-being, simply because they knew this would be a valuable thing to have for their job interview. Now, of course, some people would be perfectly fine with an approach such as to be paranoid about preparing the job interviews. But I'm just saying this so that you know that it's perfectly fine to pass job interviews, even if you are not, let's say, striving for perfection. So, have you found this useful to be successful in your interviewing journey? And thank you very much for watching.